Good morning. Thank you for coming, and also thank you for the people get online. This time I got flu, not COVID. So, but I still have some coughing. So it's better I wear mask, but please bear with me. I will cough in between. This year I choose the topic on the Śurangama Sutra. I think I'm kind of brave because I'm not enlightened, but I choose this sutra to talk about. I think the reason, before we start to read the verses, or maybe we should read this. Okay, please join palms together. The unsurpassed, profound, and sublime Dharma is difficult to encounter even in a billion aeons. Today, we see, hear, receive, and uphold it, vowing to fathom the true meaning of the Tathagata. Okay, so just like all the sutra, there's a reason that Buddha talk about this topic. And also there's a reason for me, because I've been listening to Śurangama Sutra since 2010 by Venerable Guoxing. You all know, everybody listen to his Śurangama Sutra. And every time I listen to his talk, then my mind generate a strong intention, you know, like, oh, maybe I can talk about this one day in a way that people can understand. Because the way that Guoxing Fashi conveyed his teaching is too high, you know, like sometimes I just like, oh, I don't understand what he was talking about. But since the 2010, I started to like pay more attention on this sutra. And the other reason is I've been keeping reading the Sutra of Complete Enlightenment, which people claim that it's the miniature of the Śurangama Sutra. Okay, so so for these two reasons that today, this year, I'm going to talk about this sutra in a way that that I can sort out what I've been learning from the past, and also I can organize it in a way that is more structured and then is more related to our daily life. Okay, so the first topic I choose is called irresistible love. There's a reason, but before we get to that, just brief introduction. And this sutra, in Buddhist doctrines, we categorize different sutra in different schools. For example, Yogacara, Tathagata Garbha, or the middle way. And this sutra belongs to Yogacara, Tathagata Garbha, which is Buddha nature, and also Vajrayana at the same time. Okay, so you can guess that the content of this sutra is very intense. Okay, and it talk about the very core teaching of the Buddhism, and the main teachings in brief, like true mind. What is the true mind and illusory mind? What is Buddha nature? And also very importantly, how to practice in three aspects: precepts, samadhi, and wisdom. Okay, and this is our Shifu, Master Sheng Yan's comments that about this Śurangama Sutra. All thoughts, ideas, and conceptions that pass through our minds are dreams, and we will not awake to this understanding until we reach Buddhahood. Okay, so in other words, whatever we understand or try to understand, or whatever we can conceptualize by knowledge, symbols, all those are dreams, and why the sutra keep talking about this, and hope that we will get some idea. And so overall, this sutra gives both theoretical analysis and practical guidance for practitioners to reach the highest samadhi. And by using the three aspects of the wanderance, samatha, samabadi, and dhyana as a scaffold, it provides instructions on the correct understanding of Buddha nature, the true mind, nirvana, the illusory mind, mundane existence, the ways to reach enlightenment, the Śurangama mantra, and the demonic states of mind when the practitioners didn't get the correct right views. It's very easy and very possible that we will get ourselves into the demonic state without knowing it. And then we will think that, oh, maybe we get enlightenment. So, and this is very dangerous. So this Śurangama Sutra talk about 50 kinds of demonic states in very detail. And so it becomes a handbook, a textbook for all the practitioners. If you don't have a really enlightened teachers around, when you meditate and something seems profound, manifest, you'd better to check this book first, this sutra first, before you claim that you are enlightened. And so this sutra, it has 10 chapters, okay? So it's not like the Avatamaka Sutra, but it's quite long. So there are very few English translation for the whole sutra. So many, there is one, I didn't find this one, the Śurangama Sutra published in the Buddhist Bible, translated by Dewitt, this person, and Bhikkhu Watao, Watao. And mainly I used Charles Locke's version and Master Chang Hwa from the 10,000 Buddhist monastery. I used these two versions of English translation as a reference, but I did modify some of the translation because I also use different references as to double check the content and how people translate the sutra into English. We need to really know what the real meaning is. And so our master has 3 books there, that 2 volumes until we reach Buddhahood. That's our Shifu's commentary on this sutra, but they are not finished. Our Shifu did not finish the whole sutra. And Master Chang Hwa's commentary, and that's too many in English that you can check out. And there are 3 main commentary from a Chinese master. One is called Sheng Yi Master, and the other Meng Can Master and Yuan Ying Master. These are another 3 Chinese references that I keep double check with the 2 English commentary, and just want to make sure that that I understand the sutra in a correct way, and then also I have to check that the English translation is more precise to the original meaning. So and as you can see that even the grandmaster will say, you know, they comment this in a brief way. In other words, nobody can really talk about this sutra in a way that what the Buddha really means. We only can get close to it. The main reason is that we are not enlightened and we are not Buddha yet. So, and I'm even far away from it. but I would like to share what I have learned and hear and read, and in a more like not academic, in more like a teaching way that we can try to understand the content. Okay, so each sutra has some main character. Here, Buddha has many disciples, and he has famous 10 great disciples, and 2 of each. One is called Ananda. He is the chief attendant of the Buddha, and the other one is called Mahakashyapa. And these 2 disciples usually show up on the side of the Buddha. So if you go to the temple, especially India's temples or Chinese temple, you can see these 2 great disciples on both sides of the Buddha. And these 2 disciples has very different character. Ananda looks very handsome, and he is a more kind and compassion, loving people. And Mahakashyapa, you see that he looks not that great, and he's a very disciplined people and very sharp and straight people. And so his practice life is go to the ascetic way, and very strict and very disciplined. And so these 2 are 2 different type of practitioners, and also they have 2 very different kinds of problems. So it's a good way that we reflect. So Ananda is a handsome guy, right? So he has a woman's problem. That women always love him because he looks handsome. Okay, so the scenarios in the beginning of the sutra briefly is that Ananda was handsome, and the woman of the house fell in love with him. And then she asked her mother to cast a spell on Ananda. And then, so Ananda cannot control himself. And then on the verge of breaking his precept as a monk, that the Buddha sent Manjushri with a mantra to save Ananda, just right before he break the core precepts and lose his monkhood, that the Buddhas help Ananda. And the girl too was brought back in front of the Buddha, and then she was affected by this mantra as well. And then she was not just converted, she was enlightened. She attained, I think, the first or second stages of the arhatship. So these very short stories and says a lot. And but before we get to that, let's look at how Buddha saved Ananda. So first of all, the Buddha, the world honored one, emitted 100 rays of jeweled and fearless light from his crown. And as you know, that when Buddha talk about very important sutras, he always needs to emit light from different parts of his body. And that means different function of the light. And the reason is that through the empowerment of Buddha's light, that all the audience can understand what Buddha was talking about. So the light represent the samadhi power. So Buddha tried to use his samadhi power to empower all the audience. And then the second part is within the light appeared 1,000 petals, precious lotus, upon which was seated a transformation body Buddha in 4 lotus postures, and then proclaiming a spiritual mantra. The second part is the visualization of the Buddha. Okay, so from the light to the visualization of the Buddha, and then the mantra. Okay, so this is very what we call esoteric practice. It's very important procedure for the esoteric practice. And so Manjushri used this mantra to break the spell and then bring back Ananda and that woman to the Buddha. So here, let's try to clarify what is called esoteric and exoteric. Okay, so esoteric means not public or common knowledge. And on the other hand, exoteric means the knowledge or practice is commonly taught and shared. So for like Chinese Buddhism or some Mahayana Buddhism, we were called the exoteric teachings. Everything was written in the book and nothing is secret. But for example, Tibetan Buddhism, they are more esoteric. So there are some guru, their teacher, they call the teacher guru. And the guru will only teach you specifically certain method or certain practice just for you to practice. And then you get enlightened very fast because it's just like specifically for your character, for your personality. So there are some so-called secret practice that you can, if the guru teach you, then you cannot share with others. Okay, and this sutra is very special that the Tibetan Buddhism claim that this is esoteric, and Chinese or Mahayana Buddhism claim that this is exoteric. And no matter what, this sutra are thing highlighted by the esoteric Buddhist community and the exoteric Buddhist community. And but I have to point out that there is a debate. There is a long-term debate about, this sutra is fake or not. Who wrote this sutra? Is that the real Buddha's direct teachings, etc.? You can check it out from the website. But I think no matter what, the teaching, the content here, does follow Buddha's teaching, and also they were used by all the great masters in teaching extensively. So we will think that no matter, we're not getting to the debate about the sutra is fake or not, but we will try to learn the insight, the content. Okay, here, the scenario that Ananda was set up by a spell from a woman who loved him very much. And then that's when Ananda, when he was alone and begging for alms. And as you know that in Buddha's time, that the monk, they don't cook, they don't shopping, vegetables, just food stuff, they don't cook. So they need to begging for alms is that it's a training that we have to let go our desire for delicious food. And also we need to let go of our eagerness, begging. Begging is a way that I remember first I joined the Sangha. It's really hard for me that usually I want something, I have money and I buy it, right? And it becomes like you wait there and whatever people offer you, you eat, and you cannot pick and choose that kind of things. And so did Ananda, He begging for alms every day. And then now it's that we have to eat to survive. And then the way he begging for alms, there are many different ways. Even begging itself has different ways, okay? One is that you know, no matter whoever offer you something, you just take it, okay? And there is a Mahayaka Pashyaka, you know, the ugly monk, that he always beg for the poor. And he told Buddha, you know, these poor people, because they did not offer in the past life, that's why they are poor this life. So I have to help them. You know, they offer me food and then hope that in the next life they can get rich. And there are some like Shuputa, and he is the opposite. He will beg food for the rich. He thinks that these guys are rich. They have to continue their merits to being rich in the next life. So he always beg for the rich. So Ananda thinks that, okay, I'm not going to learn from both of them because Buddha condemned them. You know, you cannot just go to the poor, you cannot just go to the rich. So he decided that I just beg one by one. Whatever I encounter, I beg for them from them. And then so he didn't choose. That's why he encountered, he went by the what house, prostitute house, you know, and then and was seen by the woman who loved him so much at the first glance. And the other one is the woman is called a Mantange's daughter, that craving for sex. She cast a spell on Ananda and subdued him onto her bed. Then she caressed him, and then Ananda was about to lose his monastic vows. So here, there are two main things that we need to point out. One is called the food or nutriment, and the sex. These two are very fundamental desire that every one of us has. Okay, this is, everybody know Maslow, the hierarchy of needs. Okay, so you can see that breathing, food, water, sex, sleep, homeostasis, and excretion. These are the very fundamental needs that we need to have in order to survive. And then once we have this, then we pursue our safety. We need more money, and we need a house. And then we need love, belonging, and you know, like dignity and self-actualizations. And all this go to the top. Even though it looks like this pyramid, but we can remove it from the top. You know, it's okay. You don't make a you're not become rich. You're not rich. You don't become successful, and then you gradually break down. What cannot be taken off is really the fundamental part. And so from Buddhist point of view, about the food, the nutrients, and the sex, we have different levels of food in order to survive. Depends on your levels. Okay, the first one is called the edible nutrients. Okay, we also call the food is gross or subtle. For example, you eat a brown rice, is gross rice, and then you refine it into the white rice, and it's more tasty, right? And then so edible food are for all of us that we need. But the second type of food is called the contact nutriment. Why it's also food? The contact, for example, you hug your children, right? And then you hear the music. Those can be a new treatment, and sometimes smelled. You don't eat the food, but you smell the food. Also, it become a new treatment. Okay. And then third one is called mental volition. Maybe it happened to you once a while when you are in deep thinking, or right now is people are so into the cell phone things, they can just play with it for a whole day without eating, right? And they are still energetic. And when you think of something, or you think of your mothers or think of loved ones, sometimes you are so into it and you don't need to eat and you don't feel hungry. That's called the mental volition nutriment. And the fourth one is called consciousness nutriment. And this consciousness nutriment is very subtle in a way that, for example, if you are in a samadhi state, when you practice, you don't need to eat. Your mind is in a state that is very stable, then you eat less and less. And so for the people in samadhi, sometimes they 1 month they don't eat, and they did not die, right? So this kind of 4 different kinds of food that for human, we need 4 of this. And for heavenly beings, they start from the contact. Then I will talk about this contact because sex belongs to the second part, contact, nutriment, okay? And then we are in the desire form. So human and heavenly beings in the desire forms need 3 or 4 nutriment. And the form in the beings in the form realm, they only need mental volition and consciousness nutriment. And for the formless realm, the highest realm, they need a consciousness nutriment. Okay, so from this, you can see that it's really, really hard for us to overcome our needs for nutriment. Very hard. And now we point out the number 2, the contact. Before we get to that, why we Buddhism think that it's very hard to overcome these 4 types of foods. From the Buddhist teachings, edible food related to the form aggregate. We talk about 5 aggregates now. Edible foods related to form aggregates. If we can overcome the need for those foods, edible foods, then we can overcome the desire for 5 sensual pleasures. And then you attain the first, the third stage of arhatship, called anagami, okay? And the second context nutriment related to the sensation aggregates. And then if you can overcome this need, then you can overcome the so-called 3 sensations. And mental volition related to the perception and volition aggregates. And if we can overcome it, we can overcome the desire of the 3 realms. Okay, so each realm, the desire realm, the form realm, and formless realm has different kinds of desires, getting subtler and subtler. And then, so if you want to overcome the desire in the 3 realms, we need to overcome to transcend the perception and volition aggregates. And the last one is very hard. It's called consciousness aggregates. Because this consciousness keep grasping namarupa, our mental and physical manifestations. And the consciousness keep grasping the namarupa, and the namarupa come back to grasp the consciousness, and how to break it. When you break it and you attain the highest arhatship, transcend out of the three realms, and you got liberated. You are not trapped by any of the desire in the three realms. So here, I just want to mention out that food looks very, the bottom levels, but the desire for food go to very, very deep around mind. And then the whole sutra, Śurangama Sutra, was trying to help us overcome the need, the desire for the food and for the sexual desires. Okay. And the sexual desire has three different levels, roughly. I'm not sure the translation. I try to, the passion one is more strong, and affection less strong, and sentience is more subtle way. Okay, so that's a very rough classification for the sexual desires. But from the Abhidhamma, Abhidhamma Kosha. Okay, this Sastra talk about, the first that there are different levels of sexual desires. The first level is called physical intercourse. The heavens in the desire realms, the 4 great kings heaven and the 33 heavens, they just like human being, that they need a physical intercourse to satisfy their sexual desire, but the ways are a little bit different. And the second called hug, like this hug, or touch your heads, that kind of things. This happened in the heavens of free of combat. Okay, you don't need to remember the name. The higher heaven, they satisfy their sexual desire just by hug, then it's done, and they can have baby. The third is shake hands. In the joyous realm, people just by shaking hands, they complete their the sexual desires, and they can have baby. And the fourth is just smile. You don't need even contact. You smile at someone, and the sexual desires just finish. And the last one is very interesting, just by eye contact. The highest heaven in the desire realm, through eye contact, they fulfill their sexual desires. And of course, the baby, they have their children's not from, like us, they sometimes from their arms, like knees, the baby was born from there. Okay, so they don't need to have like first levels of physical contacts. This is written in the Amitabha Kosha. That means, you see, even in our daily life, if you observe yourself, yeah, we know, if you got married, you have to keep the 5 precepts. You cannot have sexual misconduct. You cannot have physical, intercourse with other women or men. Okay, that's ethic code. But sometimes when you hug someone, actually, if you need to observe, when you hug someone, do you just really hug, or you have some subtle desire? And shake hand and smile as well. The way you smile, does that have some other meaning behind? And eye contact as well. So the reason I point out these four levels, like the different levels of food desire and sexual desires, was trying to point out that these two are really a very deep-rooted seeds in our mind, that if we want to get liberation, get enlightened, these two need to be uprooted. And it's impossible to do it without samadhi power. Okay. And okay, so in the Sutra of Complete Enlightenment, Buddha says that all types of births in the world, be they from egg, womb, humidity, or by transformation, are created by sexual desire. Even heavenly beings, through hug or eye contact, they can have baby. And then you should know that attached love is the root of cyclic existence. Once we have even very subtle levels of love, we cannot stop ourselves, in the cyclic existence. So desires arise because of love. Life exists because of desires. Loving desires is the cause. Loving life is the consequence. So because of the desire, because of the love, we have the concept of self and others and all the people and the life. Once we have these four notions of life, we cannot get liberated. So these four notions of life, or four notions of self, are the core teaching for the Diamond Sutra. Try to help us get rid of the four notions of attachments. Now, we have to go quickly. So Ananda was brought back by Manjushri. He was so shameful. He repented to the Buddha and saying that, I'm the great disciple of the Buddha. I hear pretty much everything taught by the Buddha. I can memorize it, but why I cannot overcome this? It's just a woman, cast a spell on me, and I just lost power. I lost my control to my body. What happened? And then so he respectfully and repeatedly request, Buddha to explain, what is the very first experience of the wondrous samatha, wondrous samabadi, and the wondrous dhyana. Those are which are the gateway for all the Buddhas in the 10 directions to transcend. So here this is a very important question. And this sutra is basically the answer for these questions. And Buddha replies, okay. So this sutra has 10 chapters, right? So the first to 4 chapters talk about the wondrous samatha. And then 4 to 7 talk about the wondrous samabadi. Number 8, wondrous dhyana. And chapter 9 and 10 talk about the demonic state of the demonic state. And all this are trying to help us, trying to teach us how to cease sexual desire, believe it or not. Okay. Here, chapter 4, when Buddha teach us how to cultivate the wondrous samatha, he said that once we put to rest the karmas of killing, stealing, and sexual desire, then there are 3 causes will not become active again. And then that will cease, and the madness in our mind, the illusory mind, will cease, and that ceasing itself is full awakening. When we can seize these 3 causes or the 3 karmas, then that's enlightenment. Okay. And chapter 6, when Buddha talked about the cultivation of the wondrous samadhi, talk about the 4 clear and definitive instructions on purity. And there is one mentioned that when we cultivate samadhi, if you don't renounce your lustful thought, you will not be able to get out of the defilements. Okay, so the teaching taught us how to behave in the daily life. And chapter 8, when Buddha talk about the cultivation of the wondrous dhyana, and then there are 3 preparation steps before we practice the wondrous dhyana. The first is totally avoid the plants of the onion groups, the five onions cousins that we cannot eat, because when you eat this kind of veggie, when you eat it in raw, you easily get angry. When you eat it cooked, it help you desires, it help you generate sexual desire. So for all the practitioners, monks and nuns, we don't eat these 5 onions, vegetables. And then second preparation step is to cease. We need to cease sexual desires and never eat meat and drink alcohol. So this is try to cease our last thought, and also cease the karma of killing. Because when you eat meat, some animal need to be killed in order for you to eat their meats, right? And this kind of karma, it is not good for you. And also when you drink alcohol, you easily lose your mind. People don't even need to cast a spell on you. You lost your mind just by drinking alcohol. So this is, I will talk about this later on, but I just want to show you that when Buddha talked about these 3 types of samadhi throughout the chapters, that Buddha keep mentioning that we need to cease our sexual desires. Very subtle way, we need to cease it. Otherwise, it's impossible for us to achieve the great samadhi. And the samadhi also was taught in the Sutra of Complete Enlightenment. I think these 3 analogies are very clear and very simple for us to understand what these 3 types of samadhis are. The first, samatha, just like it's calm and still like a mirror. And samabhati is like a seed sprouting from soil. And dhyana is like the sounds from the instrument. Okay, here, samatha. So in other words, we need to practice in a way that our mind is pure and clear and transparent without any defilement, in order for us to see our true self, the Buddha nature. Okay, so this is the content for the 10 chapters of this Śurangama Sutra. As you can see, the chapter 1 to 4, the content of teaching is related to the wondrous samatha. So first, Buddha need to taught us that what is illusory mind. The mind we think is our mind is not our mind. They are illusory. And what is the nature of our mind? And then third is the core. What is our Buddha nature? Okay, so, and then further explain how this world come into exist. And so our mind needs to be very still and calm and transparent without any defilements. It's impossible for us to see our true selves with the illusory mind. Okay, this is the illusory mind. We see what we see is not our true selves. It's so ugly. We need to, practice samatha in order to see our Buddha nature. Okay, that's the first to fourth chapter. And the samabhati practice is like, when all illusions are permanently left behind, Bodhisattva's wondrous act are likened to the sea sprouting from the soil. See, when our mind becomes still and transparent, it doesn't mean that it's dead. The mind still functioning in a way that your mind does not twist or bend. And it's very hard. It's much easier when you sit there and your mind just like don't move and clear. But once you get out of the cushion, your mind starts to move, right? So now the second levels of practice is you need to uphold the samadhi, the calming of the mind and the wisdom at the same time. We call it samatha vipassana, and here it's called samabhati. Okay, samatha is the first one. Samatha vipassana, you uphold the calming of the mind and the wisdom of the mind at the same time. So in other words, you still have function. Your mind is still active, but your mind does not move. Can you imagine that? You still have function, but your mind does not move. Okay. Anyway, so it's called the unmoving ground. The earth, Mother Nature, the earth is not moving, but it still nurtures the seeds to grow. The mind is still active, still functional. And then so chapter 5 to 7, okay, is the wondrous samabhati. Then here we talk about 25 sages to share how they get enlightenment. And then there are 4 clear and definitive instructions on purity. And then there is a Śurangama mantra. You see mantra here. When we chant mantra, our mind needs to be calm. The most powerful mantra is when you are in a samadhi state. And just like, remember that the Buddha emitted the light, and then people can see the 1,000 petals lotus, and there are Buddha sit on top of it. These are through samadhi power. Samadhi power, and then Buddha exercise is supernatural power, supernatural knowledge to manifest something. Okay, so that's the second part of the teachings, the so-called the wondrous samabhati. And the last one is actually the highest one. The analogy is that there is an instrument, right? You hit it, then there is a sound. You can hear the sound, but the sound does not trap in the instrument. And that's when you hear the sound is gone. That means there is no attachment to the body. It's called instrument. So your mind does not attach to the instrument, neither to the wisdom. And then whoever needs you, hit the belt, and then you got to help, and then it's gone. So here, vexation and nirvana will not get stuck with each other. Sometimes we think, I'm suffering, I have vexation. My life sucks. I'm totally, hopeless, helpless. That means I'm not good. But here the Buddha says that, sorry, you can vex, but your mind is still clear. They do not conflict each other. So that's why when we practice meditation, don't try to chase off your vexation or wandering thought, because those are also your true mind. It's not like you get rid of the thought, then you have this true mind. True mind is everything. Okay. So the third part, the wondrous dhyana. Buddha talked about 12 levels of being, 12 kinds of existence, and also very important, the 55 stages of Bodhisattva path. And these 55 stages of Bodhisattva path are practiced by our Buddha nature, not by our illusory mind. So, that are the three main parts. Remember, all these three teachings are trying to help us to uproot the desire for food and the desire for sex. And there are different levels of desire for both parts that we have to remember. And most importantly, the demonic state. Actually, there are 50 of them, 10 from each aggregate. So there are 5 aggregates, right? The form, sensation, perception, volition, and consciousness. Each aggregate has 10 states of demonic state. So that's 5 multiplied by 10 equal to 50. If we have any attachment to any levels of the aggregates, then we have the demonic state. It's impossible for us to get liberated. And so overall, that we want to get enlightened, we want to get liberation, we need to practice samatha, vipassana, samatha, samabadi, and dhyana in order to overcome our 5 aggregates, to uproot our needs for food and sex. And that's nama rupa, that we are in consciousness we are talking about here. Okay, now let's get back to the name. The real name of this sutra is quite long, but the name tells us these 3 types of samadhi. Samadhi. Okay, so the name is called the Sutra of the Foremost Śurangama at the Great Buddha's Summit, concerning first the hidden cause of Tathagata's practice. This belongs to the wondrous samatha. If you don't practice this, you cannot see your Buddha nature. And the second one, his certification to the practice and attainment of the ultimate truth. This belongs to the wondrous samabadi. Without practicing this, it's impossible for us to see the truth. And then last one, and all Bodhisattvas mirage practice. This belongs to the wondrous dhyana. We practice with our Buddha nature. And without this, it's impossible to attain the Buddhahood. Okay, so this is the full name of this sutra. Okay, but we just like in short, just like briefly, we just say, oh, the Śurangama Sutra, but actually this is the full name of this sutra. Now, when Ananda repent to the Buddha and ask for the teaching of the expedient, the initial expedient practice for the wondrous samatha, wondrous samabadi, and wondrous dhyana, this is what Buddha said to Ananda. Buddha said that there is a samadhi called the great and the royal Śurangama, spoken from above, the crown of the Buddha's head, which honestly, I'm not satisfied with this translation, but I would talk to some other people. Actually, this sentence is like, Buddha says that there is a samadhi called Śurangama, Śurangama Samadhi, okay? And then, which is the perfection of the Mirat practice. This Śurangama Samadhi is the perfect, the highest achievement for all the Mirat practices, okay? And then it is a wondrous and magnificent path. The unique portal through which the numerous Buddhas in all 10 directions have passed in order to transcend the conditioned world. And you should all listen attentively. In other words, because our Ananda does not know what is the highest samadhi. So he just like, wondrous samasa, wondrous samabadi, wondrous dhyana. And Buddha said that all these three, wondrous samasa, samabadi, and vipassana, is called the Śurangama Samadhi. And this is the highest samadhi that all the practitioners can get. And then so, in other words, we will talk about this sutra or pointed to the so-called enlightenment. So I'll finish my talk here. Hopefully, I think I use this as the first talk of this samadhi, of this sutra. I was trying to help myself and help share with you that we cannot ignore. We have to observe our desires for food and desire for sex in a more careful way, because that will help us to understand, why we exist, why we want to continue to exist, because we need food to survive, right? And we need sex to continue our generation to next generation. We want the life continue, in other words. We want our life continue. We want other people's life to continue. And this is a desire for us to be trapped into this cyclic existence, and for us to keep attached to our illusory mind, that we cannot see our true mind and we cannot see our true nature. And so that's the beginning, the prologue for this sutra, and is what we need to keep in mind throughout this the sutra to the end. Thank you for your attention. Any questions? I hope I can answer questions. Okay. Yes, please. No, people online cannot. Okay.
We're talking about the desire, right? Everybody have a desire, pursue for the material or for the body into the pleasure. Do you think the desire is the positive or the negative mindset?
Actually, this is a good question. Desire can be positive and can be negative, but Buddha says that it does not exist. When we think it's positive or when it's negative or it's needed, it's all because we use our illusory mind to think that my body need it. You need it, I need it, everybody need it. That's a very
for instance, okay, let's say the not Buddha, no, the Bodhisattva. Okay, they say even the earth or the other Buddha, okay, Bodhisattva, they want to deliver, endless sentient being. Okay, it is a kind of a desire also.
It is. It is a desire, or you can call it vows. So that's why bodhisattvas before they attain the Buddhahood, they still have very subtle ignorance to uproot.
It's also kind of vexation and also suffering, isn't it? Whatever desire, I mean, the sufferings because from your desire, your ended desire.
Well, I have to say that there are 55 stages of bodhisattva practice, right? Different levels of bodhisattva has different levels of attachment. So we cannot use like ordinary sentient beings' desire to imagine the so-called desire for the highest Buddha, bodhisattva, that they still want to save the sentient being. That is the last bit of ignorance they have. Once they can detach of this, they attain the Buddhahood. So we will talk about this in the 55 stages of the bodhisattva practices. But one thing I want to bring out, thank you for your question, is the desire. When we call desire, there is attachment. Buddha still eat, right? Buddha still begging for alms and eat. Otherwise, this body cannot survive. This is our common karma for human beings. But when Buddha eat, there is no craving. There is no, just like because my body needed, I eat it, doesn't mean that there is a craving. The craving parts, even the arhat, they get liberated. They still have tendency, habitual tendency. For example, if I like chocolate a lot, every life I like chocolate. After I become arhat, I detached my craving for chocolate, but I still have the habitual tendency that when I see food, I'll see chocolate first. But doesn't mean I want to eat chocolate. It's just a tendency. It's called stress habit, habitual tendency. And so back to your question, the desire is bad or good. Overall, it's not good and not bad. Depends on what's in your mind. Do you have desire or not? The attached desire.
If you attach anything being or non-being, they're not really perfect, the situation. You attach it to the being or non-being.
Attached to the beings and non-beings. Maybe we talk about it later on because the time passed. Okay. But before we understand what our mundane world is, we have to understand what our true mind, what is illusory mind, what is true mind is. And so that's what's the next scenario, that there is a dialogue between Ananda and Buddha. Buddha just keep asking, where is your mind? Why you want to become a monk? Okay, that's the talk for next, in April 9th. I will continue my talk about where is the mind. Okay. Oh, sorry. The time is to 12:30. Okay, great. Oh, I keep rushing it. Okay, any question on my? You can open for questions. Anyone online has questions? Well, there. Okay. Okay, one more question. Okay.
Are you talking about the nirvana and as the last ultimate state of the mind? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How you describe the nirvana? Because nirvana cannot be beyond the language, beyond the description. How you can describe that?
Well,
maybe your nirvana and my nirvana is different stage. A different kind of the section.
So, nirvana is not what we can talk about, but Buddha is saying we can talk about what is not. Just like true mind, why Buddha keep asking Ananda about where is your mind? 7 questions, 7 answers, no, and no, and no, 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 no. All the levels, the mind of you think are not your mind. So Buddha just keep debating, use a logical analysis to tell Ananda, this is not, this is not, this is not. And the true mind is what all the illusory thinking, illusory thought, illusory logical analysis stop. Then your true mind manifest. Yeah. I saw Echo raise the hand. Echo, can you unmute yourself? Your question.
Why so easy? I know what I am not, and I so difficult, almost impossible to know what I am.
It is possible to know. Can you say your question again?
Oh, it's very easy to know what I am not. But it's very difficult, almost impossible to know what I am.
It's possible to know who we are, but I agree, it's easier for us to know what we are not. And then so there is so in a Chan school, we have a method called Hua To, keep asking ourselves a question. What is who? Who am I? Who is dragging this body around? And whatever the answer come out through your brain, through your analysis, through your knowledge, they are not. So you use Hua To, keep letting go until there's nothing to let go. But it's very tricky. When you think that there's nothing to let go, doesn't mean that you are there. That means your samadhi power is not deep enough to observe what you are at. You are trapped in the middle. That because your samadhi power is not deep enough, your mind is not subtle enough to see what you are trapped into. So you cannot let go. And when we see who we are, means we see our true self. And that's what this sutra is all about. And samadhi, we need samadhi power. And one thing that's back to our ordinary life, because why we need to understand this. You see, in our daily life, actually, we eat every day, right? We encounter people every day. Right now, we cannot say different gender. Even the same gender have some sexual desire. So we encounter food and people every day. So we need to observe our habit first. Do you prefer some food over the other? Do you? Yes. What do you like? Ah, good. Do you like sweet? Okay. Spicy. Look, when I eat spicy food, I just keep coughing. And so why we have these differences? Why we have these preferences? If people say, oh, you know, physiologically, your tongue's, you know, different in a way that you just like spicy food. But it's reasonable. You interpret it that way. But for a Buddhist, you need to think deeper. You know, if it's genetic, why you have two kids, one likes spicy food, one likes sweet stuff? You know, genetics. Okay. And why? Yes.
Once, when I was eating spicy food at like the Thai place, my dad said something around like why most people don't like the difference of.
Don't remember.
You don't remember?
Okay.
He said like maybe it's like the like I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You see, yeah. So
like,
this habit, this kid, how old are you?
I am 9.
See, a 9-year girls listen to Śurangama Sutra. We have hope for our next generation, okay? You see, why? Yeah, you good. You know, why she like this and I don't, you know, why there's a difference between us. So this is a start to start to contemplate, you know, to reflect inwards that why I'm so special, you know, and the same thing, you know, of course, Ananda, if you read other sutra, Ananda and this woman, they have been couple for the past 7 lives or something. So they have a strong affinity with each other. And that's the reason why that woman at the first glance, yeah, Ananda is handsome, but a lot of handsome guys around. Why he choose Ananda? And the same thing, in same way, you know, in our life, we choose someone to marry with, right? And then 10 years later, there's a guy or woman show up who are your past 10 lives, you know, spouse. And then you have strong affinity with that person. And then you have hundreds to thousands of lives that every life you get married with someone. And then what if they all show up around you? Are you going to marry every one of them? No, it's not necessary. I mean, we have to have this. Sometimes we see someone, we just like that person, then you have to be aware. Be aware of it. And then you keep the precept and then use your samadhi power to calm your mind first, because all this, remember the 3 levels of sexual desire, the passion, affection, and sensations. And then why our master say that your monks and nuns, we don't shake hands. And it is reasonable. But so when our Sifu says that you cannot have big smile with other people, big smile, you show your teeth, because that will generate easily generate sexual desires as well. And our Shifu, I remember one time, his attendant talked about, there is one time our master changed glasses. And then when he put on the glasses, one of the woman disciples just say, 师父, you look so handsome with these glasses. You know what? Our 师父 changed to his old glasses the next day. He keep his precept in a very subtle way. He doesn't want himself to look handsome, attract women, and wear good clothes or something. And this is just like remind me, sometimes we, in keeping the precept, your mind need to be very subtle. Be aware of what you are doing. Be aware of what people react to you. If someone show their intention or show some good response to you, you have to be aware, because all these attractions actually cannot last long. It's just a affinity, a karma that shows, but we have to, let it cease. So does food. So Buddha suggests that the initial step to avoid those needs, the needs for the sexual desires or food, is first we need to regulate what we eat. Okay, so those special onions groups of vegetables, we don't eat it, otherwise we will easily generate sexual desire, or we easily get angry. Okay, so those practitioners we don't eat. And the second step is to regulate the amount of food that we eat, because when you eat too full, you eat too much or too different types of things, and your body will tell you you need something else. Okay, so in Chinese, sometimes in Chinese will say that 保暖思淫欲 means when you are full and when you are warm, then the next step is you will think about is sex. Okay, so this in the daily life, there are guidance for practitioners about what we eat and what amount of food we eat. And then also we don't eat meat that much, and then we don't drink alcohol. Those 5 precepts actually are good guidance for us to have a normal, to have a practitioner's life, and it's easy to follow. Okay. Zoom unmute is not working. Actually, Miranda, you can type your questions. But anyway, this is, sorry about, I remember the time wrong, that I probably rushed too much. So this year, our talk is from 11 to 12:30, not 12. So sorry about this. And then I think it's about time. And then we will have lunch here at the center. And then and I think in the long run we will get to more questions, and those questions are raised by Ananda, and I think they are all our questions as well. And then so next we will talk about where is the mind, what is the illusory mind, and what is the true mind. And this is the first step. We need to really be clear about what is the illusory mind and what is the true mind in order to understand further about our Buddha nature. Okay, so it's impossible for us to see our Buddha nature with illusory mind. Okay, thank you for your attention.